and not know me very well because I'm kind of a weird-ass motherfucker. But I thought tonight I'd break the ice with a little bit of a magic trick. I mean, hence the long sleeves and the little tie that's like way too short, but I have in my pocket is a handkerchief. It's torn as shit. You can know that, and I don't care. I'm poor. Can't buy another one. Anyway, so a lot of you know that in Oregon we have a lot of native birds. I happen to have a dove. You know, it's a nice white bird. It loves everybody, but it's... That's a joke, guys. You need to laugh more. Anybody want this? It's right there. Anyway. On stage. But get the fuck out there. Anyway, I always thought it, like leading people on to the wrong thing would always be fun. Like, you know, you go hang out with your buds and you're like, oh, dude, come to my house, pick me up, let's do some bowling. And they're like, oh yeah, dude, sweet. And they show up and you act like you're not ready, and you're just sitting behind the door and you're like, oh yeah, come in. And they come in and you've got like a fucking pottery wheel and you're like literally making a bowl. And like, they thought you were gonna go down to the bowling alley and like throw some balls, but you're just like, nah, dude, bowling. You know, you just kind of like make your own little like vase and shit. Or like, you're like, yeah, dude, I love fishing, man. You like grab your gear and shit, you grab your fishing pole, you're all hooked up. And then they meet you there and you've got a hook in your mouth and you're just on the ground fucking convulsing like you're on the freaking, like you can't breathe. So, as a man, I have a bias on this next opinion, but I believe that getting hit in the balls is worse than giving birth. Before you leave, reason number one, you have 9 months to prepare for the pain you're about to endure. Reason number two, they give you drugs so it doesn't hurt as much. Reason number three, you get a reward. You give birth, you have a baby, they're beautiful. I love kids. Like, they grow up, you get to watch them, they could potentially be famous as hell, and then you're set for life. I mean, like, it's cool. Getting hit in the balls has no redeeming quality. It's not like you get hit in the dick and some guy walks up and he's like, yo, dude, here's 10 grand, I'm sorry. No, you got hit in the dick and you're in pain. That's all it is. It's like bottom line. And it's not like it's an allergy. Like, you're just like, you like see it coming, you get hit in the balls, you like pull out an epinephrine pen, you're like, please, put this on my legs as hard as you can, and it's like gone. No, you deal with it for like the next 30 seconds. And like I said, it's like not random. Like, you're not like walking down the street as a girl and you're like, yeah, anyway, and you're like, oh no, and you just like shit a baby out. Like, you knew it was gonna happen. You watched your body progressively like a balloon just pump up. But speaking of shitting, I back in seventh grade, I went to White State Elementary, and their ideas of field trips were kind of fucked up. So bear with me. The water treatment plant out in White City. You already think it's funny, great. So I'm in 7th grade, and I get told I'm gonna have a field trip, and I have to go get, the permission slip and all that, and do the paperwork, make sure I'm not allergic to anything. And the look on my mom's face when I hand her this permission slip that literally says, can your son go to the water treatment plant? It was the most hilarious thing ever. She's like, you're going to the turd farm? Like, what? And I was like, well, I mean, kind of. And then, so we're there, and naturally the freaking field trips take way too long. You're tired, you're thirsty, you want to eat lunch. Actually, I didn't at that point. It's kind of gross. But we get halfway through the tour, and I'm thirsty, and I look at my teacher, like, Miss Ritchie, I'm really thirsty. And she's like, well, there got to be a water fountain somewhere. And the guy that's leading the tour is like, he's like, well, actually, as a matter of fact, and he takes me to this big, all I can see is a big 30-foot by 45-foot flat just full of shit. Like, there's literally like Lincoln logs everywhere. And I'm super grossed out, and he's like, oh, and then here's the drinking fountain. And I'm like, no, I'm not drinking from that. I know it's clean, but I'm not drinking looking over the horizon. It's like the Serengeti of turds. There's no way. So then we had another field trip my 8th grade year. This one was a lot better. We went to the coast. And I got this buddy, Kai Witt, and we were playing tag. And it's on this like kid tunnel, like, those wooden structures. And they have those 2 bars that are like parallel that you grab onto and you like hang, you walk, and it's like all fun. It's supposed to be fun. It's like exercise, it's bullshit. See, I'm fat, I look through that. So we were playing tag, and he's fast as hell. He's always been quick. So you have to either hide from him or be faster than the guy he's trying to tag. And this slow person, she's not very quick. She goes and she runs and she ducks under both those bars. Well, Kai thought it was one. So he ducks under the first one, comes up and just catches the second one. Like right in his mouth. They like horse guarded him, like took his cheeks off. And when he wakes up about 20 minutes later with the ambulance and everything, and he's bleeding everywhere, and he asked me what happened. And And I was like, I don't really know how to tell you this, but you lost your first front row of teeth, like they're gone. And he's like, what do you mean they're gone? And I was like, well, I mean, if you want to look in the bark right here, I mean, they're probably around here somewhere. You hit pretty hard. They might be that way, like 4 feet or so. So instead of him having to eat the gross-ass lunch food, my teacher goes and buys him ice cream, like a ton of ice cream, because we're going to be there overnight. And he wouldn't even share any with me. And I'm like, dude, I mean, I only laughed for like 45 minutes, and you'd laugh if it was me, dude. And he goes, no, dude, it's my favorite ice cream. And I'm like, you don't have a favorite ice cream. You're a kid. Ice cream is fucking ice cream at this point. Don't lie to me. So we didn't have a refrigerator, so it ended up melting anyway. But same kid, Kai, went by the name of Skinny Wiener. And the reason for this kid's weird as hell. He would cut his hot dogs into sections so he could turn one hot dog into 4. We could have 45 hot dogs and he'd still want one hot dog to be 4. And it's like, dude, you can have 4 hot dogs. He goes, we can get more stuff on it this way. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? You get 4 hot dogs, you get more stuff total. Like, that's 4 hot dogs. And trying to explain this to him. So finally I got tired of it and I went and I found this, like, what I assumed was a dog turd. And it was, you know, like normal sized. So I took a pair of like cleaning gloves and I put it in a bun for him. And I sat over there and I'm like, you know what, dude? I was like, you can go ahead and cut that into sections. And he cuts it open. And he goes, dude, this is a dog turd. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's a hot dog. And he's like, I can smell it. And I was like, oh, must be a bad hot dog, dude, whatever. I was really hoping he'd eat it, dude. I was rooting for that fucker to put it in his mouth. But my buddy Chase is here. We've done some weird shit in our days. Like, you know, we're 20. We've known each other since we were born. And this one time we were at my buddy, I won't say his name. He probably doesn't want me to say it. Anyway, we were at my buddy's house. We met him at the pool. And we were walking home. And I always had this bad habit of not using the bathroom before or after, like, we got to a place. Or, like, before we left. I'd always just, like, have to go halfway to wherever we were going. So we're walking home from my buddy Paul. It's not actually Paul, but his name is Paul right now because I don't want to give his name. We're walking up from Paul's house, and there's just this like factory. It's like stone. It's like a big brick building. I don't know what it actually is, but I can tell it's a like warehouse of some sort. And I'm like, dude, I gotta go. He's like, well, just pee right there. I'm like, no, I don't gotta pee. I gotta go. And he's like, oh shit. And I'm like, okay, dude. I was like, here's the deal. I'm gonna take my shirt off. I'm gonna use this toilet paper. We're gonna be good. I'm just gonna go like walk into the dark alley and be good. And so I went and handled my business, went home shirtless, it was freaking freezing, and we go back to Paul's house the next day, and we see that building, and we kind of wondered what the hell was going on, and we like looked down the way, and I crapped on some dude's grave. Now, a fucking cemetery should never look like a parking lot. I thought for sure I was just gonna make somebody's day, like they'd pull up to their job and like go to their special spot, and there'd just be freaking like some dude's shirt all wadded up and he wouldn't know what it was and he'd have to examine it out of curiosity and it'd be cool. But no, there was like some dude's like headstone was like, here lies. And I'm like, oh no. Felt all bad. I didn't clean it up. It was fucking gross. Like, it's poop. But so some of you guys might have seen me here before. Sorry I didn't dress this sexily. I didn't want to. It sucks. It's hot. I hate it. It's fucking terrible. This is my funeral clothes, ironically. But this next story. So my Uncle Bill passed away, God rest his soul, a few months ago, and my Uncle Harold came up from Texas. He drives truck, and we all got together and stuff, and I literally bought this outfit for that occasion. Not the tie, but, I mean, this just the shirt and the pants and stuff, and we're there, and the priest literally says, if you have some words you'd like to say, we'd like to keep it short so the family can go and bury him at the cemetery. It's like a family-only thing. And my Uncle Harold steps up, and the first thing my dad says to me is, this isn't going to be short. This is going to be long as hell. And I thought he was kidding. I was like, dude, he told him short. And an hour later, I'm literally watching the sunset in like the windows. An hour later, he finally says, I think I'm done. And then we had to postpone a funeral because the cemetery closed. Has that ever happened? Like, I didn't even think that could be a thing. Like, no, you can't bury him, dude. He's going to rot here until tomorrow. And it's like, okay. And then what then? He's like, well, then you bury him then. I was like, he's going to stink, dude. It's like... So they ended up taking him back down, undressing him, and putting him into like the fridge and whatever. And we went there the next day, and the same priest is at the funeral or is at the cemetery, and we're standing over the hole, and he looks at us and he goes, "Does anybody want to say anything short before we lower him into the ground?" And my Uncle Harold goes, "Yeah, I'd like to." And my grandpa cuts him off. He's like, "Hell no, we're done. Put him in the ground, bury him. I'm done. I'm tired of burying my kid." He's like, 2 days should not be a burial. He's like, 1 day maybe. He's like, I don't even want to do it myself. It's my son. And that caused a couple fights, and it was a pretty bad situation. But I was laughing because my grandpa is like 85, and my Uncle Harold is like the same height as me, but a lot stockier. He's huge. And my grandpa told him what for, and he ended up throwing a punch at my Uncle Harold and like straight up rocking him. Like, he hit him in the face, and he's just like, pff. He's like, all right, I'm done. Let's go ahead and kick him to the ground. Fucking kick, fuck it. But I thought I ended on another story. So, one year at Howard Prairie, there's a lot of stories from Howard Prairie. We go there every year, end of April. It's a big fishing trip. The whole family goes. One year at Howard Prairie, the year after my Uncle John died, actually, we had his ashes. We were going to dump them in there because he always went up with us. And we hadn't caught anything. We go up there for like 3 days. We hadn't caught anything in 2.5 days. It was like getting close to the end. We're like, well, screw it. We'll throw his ashes in. It's whatever. And the instant my dad threw my uncle's ashes into the water, everybody on our side caught a bite. Like every single person caught a fish. Like in 3 seconds, like boom, everybody's like smacked. And I'm just like, oh shit. And then about, I don't know, like a year goes by, and some dude at the Sportsman's Warehouse starts telling me the story about how this family dumped their uncle's ashes in, and everybody caught a fish. He's like, dude, it was great. You should have been there. And I didn't have the heart to tell this dude that it was me. And anyway, the year after that, we were going back up for the Howard Prairie trip, and we're walking up the hill to our campsite, and this dude like stops us, like we think somebody's dying. He's like, hey, get over here! And he like freaks out. We're like, what the hell, dude? What's going on? And he's like, are you the Tycksen family? I'm like, well, yeah. And he's like, why didn't you tell me that was you back at Sportsman's? I was like, well, I mean, it was kind of funny watching you explain it wrong to the guy that actually knows the story. And he goes, did another relative die? And I'm like, that's not a joke. Like, that was fucked up. Like, what if somebody had, like, even if we had ashes, I hope he doesn't give you a fish, you asshole. Like, thanks for bringing it up. Yeah, actually, my father died, and we had planned on putting his ashes here. I'm glad you wanted a fish. Thank you.